What's going on, everyone? This is City Wrestling Radio, and this is the B Show. I'm your host, Corey Smith. I'm hanging out in the Diamond Studio. That's right, this wonderful $1 million recording studio I'm sitting in today. But
Star Wars poster is worth $50 alone.
You know, of those millions of dollars I paid for, yes. But I'm your host, Corey Smith, being joined today via Zoom, my co-host over here on my left, Mr. Michael Vergara.
Corey, regardless of your decision, I think I speak for everyone in saying that this episode of the B Show will be the best podcast ever recorded.
Okay. And then it just ends.
Yeah, it was that poor woman, Charlie Caruso.
Well, you're
that poor woman.
Referencing the upcoming greatest wrestling match ever between Randy Orton and Edge.
You could see like Randy Orton nearly corpsing. Like there was a close up of Randy Orton. He was just kind of smirking, like he was probably thinking the same thing. Like they make this woman say the dumbest stuff every Monday imaginable. And
I wonder if every dumb thing they up her contract just a little bit, they like just up the money just a little bit more and more. And she's like, all right.
Like all the questions that she asked, like Rey Mysterio, what's it like? How does it feel now? Even though you fell,
how does it feel to be dead
10 feet stories into a building, and then they make him say dumb shit, even though he somehow just makes it work. It's just that I feel like go ahead.
Do you think Okada and Kenny Omega saw the end of that promo and they were like, what? What?
I think they're gonna be fine. I think they're gonna be fine. Yeah. But yeah, it's just that I haven't heard much of the internet scuttlebutt as far as like that whole, thing is concerned. But then like Charlie Caruso, I just feel like everybody is just kind of aware that she's made to say that rather than that's genuinely her saying that.
Look at Dasha. I mean,
yes, look at Dasha. Look at nearly everybody who's done
Dasha.
Well, yeah, look at Dasha. But like look at like every single person in that company who's no longer with that company and just show how well-spoken they are. Like, look at the Revival. Like, look at this. There's this one podcast that Tino Sabatelli did with Dan Matha, and it was just 2 hours of them just speaking so, like, eloquently and, like, just having two guys who, like, really give a shit about what they do, but none of that, like, shines through whenever they're...
Well, you know what? They're not made for segments to play basketball with the Viking Raiders on Monday Night Raw, so they need to get used to that, okay?
Yeah, that's what the B Show is for.
That's what the B Show
is. I need to find basketball.
But we're going to talk about everything today from last night, AEW Dynamite, NXT. We also got a bunch of news, a bunch of stuff happened this week that it may not be super breaking news. Of course, maybe everyone knows, but we want to talk about it because I think we need to give our take on everything. And,
Who reports news on a Thursday anyway?
Well,
it's not like any prominent wrestling journalist would ever drop stuff like that.
I feel like we are the Thunder of wrestling podcasts, like the WCW Thunder.
Don't ever say that, Corey. Don't ever say that.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe at CWR415, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's right there below in the little overlay. I don't think it's the left or the right. Can't remember. But, guys, check us out on there, especially on Instagram, because we keep you up to date with the news on there. Insta news, Insta wrestling news.
News like what, Corey?
News like Sami Zayn being stripped of the title. News like some other stuff we'll get into. Sting, not the wrestler. I mean, the wrestler, not the singer.
No, wait. Yes, the wrestler, not the singer.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what you meant?
Yeah. And sometimes we post some cool, like, hey, 25 years ago, 10 years ago, 3 years ago.
This day in history sort of thing.
1 year ago. A day ago. Yeah, things like that. So, guys, at CWR415, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And also, guys, go check out our merch store because we sell merch and you got to buy it. Especially when...
Stand up, Corey. Stand up, Corey. I know you can't really stand up. He's wearing a CWR shirt. It's really nice.
The wonderful City Wrestling Radio original logo t-shirt. Guys, go on teespring.com/store/CWR415. I'll just link below. Check it out. But yeah, go check it out. A lot of cool stuff amongst other cool logos that we produce.
Also, price is reduced to $15.99.
Well,
right?
Oh,
yeah, Corey?
or something like that.
Okay.
Let me see.
Shipping not included.
What did that say? Yeah, 1549.
Yes.
Started. So
half the price of an average shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees. So
Well,
if you
you
want
know-
to, you can either support your favorite wrestler who's actually contributing to your love of pro wrestling, or you can just contribute to us.
yeah, who are pretty much do the same thing that you do, but we have equipment to talk into. So give us money, please.
Please.
So guys, go check it out. Like I said, tank tops, t-shirts, sweatshirts, socks, leggings. I'm waiting for the CWR face paint lineup, but that'll come later.
I can't wait, Corey.
Nonetheless, this is the B Show. We're here to talk about AEW Dynamite, NXT, and news. And I think the first thing I think we just want to get into is congratulations, Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins.
Oh my God!
This Monday night, Becky Lynch.
Your child is a masculine child. It's a Godfather reference, I think.
I've never seen The Godfather.
Okay, we don't have to get into it. But yeah, Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins.
She announced on Monday night that she is pregnant. In storyline, she asked for the Money in the Bank match, for the women's side at least, for the management to up the ante a little bit.
Up the ante a little bit.
And to make it a little bit more prestigious, not just for a contract, but for the Raw Women's Championship, because she, like I said, she is in fact pregnant. She handed the title over to Asuka.
She asked Asuka to, you be a warrior, and I will be out being a mortar. And then what came after that was genuinely one of the most heartwarming segments on Raw in a very long time. And it says a lot considering the fact that there was no audience. If there was an audience there, that segment would have been like 10 times more.
Oh, I mean, there would have been a thank you, Becky chant, but it would have, you know what I mean? It's weird though, because I'm sure
it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet too, because we're not going to get Becky for a very long time, but this is happy news.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, Lynch did tweet after the segment. She says, I have no idea what happens from here, but I do know that you've made all my dreams come true. I entered the PC in 2013, not knowing anyone. I'll leave the same building tonight with my new family. Thank you all so much.
So, yeah. Congratulations to one Rebecca Quinn. Hope, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it actually, there's more to talk about in this, because in an interview Lynch did with People Magazine, was
like dropped as soon as that news dropped. So you can see how like orchestrated.
Went right to the back and called People Magazine. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It was noted that Lynch found out she's pregnant in April and is expected to give birth in December. I'm hoping end of December. Capricorn babies. I mean, I'm a Capricorn myself. She says, I've always wanted kids. Lynch tells People on her pregnancy, I was just so career focused that it became one of these things that when you're chasing a dream so big and long, wait, what? No, sorry. I added the big part. Sorry. Just so long, for so long. My mind's just going to dirty places now. I always want
slip.
am I going to get around to it? So, she says, what was another thing that she said? She and Rollins have planned to marry at the end of May, but because of the coronavirus, they had to hold things off, and I guess they're going to wait till after.
So is every couple waiting to be married. Everything is kind of just put on hold.
Yeah. I guess now she's just waiting till the end of her pregnancy, till after she gives birth to get pregnant now.
Yeah, that's what you do. You just got to wait when you're pregnant. I mean, I've never been pregnant before. Have you? No. It's a dumb question.
No, I've never have. I thought William Regal was going to be pregnant last night on NXT after he says, I will.
Too. That's, we'll get into it. Yeah. But yeah, Becky Lynch, she's pretty much on the shelf for the foreseeable future, perhaps indefinitely, perhaps for a very long time. Yeah. Which begs the question, which begs the question of the landscape of WWE right now in regards to who's there. Like you somewhat lost Becky Lynch. You somewhat lost Roman Reigns just due to her personal and health reasons. And like you would think that those two would be like, I mean, they're your cover stars for 2K20. Just think about that.
Right. Well, and another thing about this is that like I don't know, handing the championship over to the Money in the Bank winner. I mean, she could have just relinquished and be like, I'm pregnant, and then have a tournament for the
there were some people legitimately complaining, like, "Oh, why didn't she put Asuka over? Why can't she take bumps for Asuka?"
She has a baby. She's a baby in her.
Page's mom did it.
Well, you know, the scariest part is that, like, I think she said something about back taking the test back in, she like knowing she's pregnant in April, and that's WrestleMania, and I mean,
she said like she felt something, and I feel like that's just, that's a motor's intuition, as they would say.
You know,
also there are various like signs that you could be pregnant, like, something we're not experts on.
Well, talk about it some more, Michael. I mean,
okay, so every 30 days there would
yes, no, I know, missed cycles. Yeah, no, she's as quoted saying that she Seth Rollins is the one that she saw, I think she said back in November she saw being the one she wanted to have kids with and spend the rest of her life with.
Oh.
So I mean,
ideally you would want your fiance to be the person to have kids with. So
ideally,
if you can, like, surrogates is a thing.
And yeah, congratulations, Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins on, I guess, the new bundle of joy coming into their world. But as you were saying, you were talking about the women's division. Now, where does it leave the women's division?
Asuka's champion.
She is.
The way the nature of her celebrating and just the way she was kind of just booked, you would just imagine this would be more or less a face turn, because she already was sort of a face in the eyes of a lot of people anyway.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think a lot of people are huge Asuka fans out there.
And then they're clearly building up to Shayna Baszler being this no nonsense, no filter woman who says anything, is just a vile human being. She insulted Becky's
unborn child,
saying that kid's gonna suck, and she's telling Natalya that if she will ever have kids, and that the heart bloodline dies with you. And
wow, that's
honestly, that's just super fucked up.
It's pretty messed up.
I mean, Natalya, she's a wrestler, she can handle it and all this other stuff, but that's just so mean-spirited.
Whatever.
Not even like beyond just.
Well, it looks like they're gonna have to build up their women's division, because, like I said, it's the first time in history. I think there's not one. Well, not the first time in history. The first time since the 4 Horsewomen got brought up to the main roster that not one of them is on Monday Night Raw. So we'll see what happens in the coming weeks, coming months and years. It's like you said, we don't know when Becky Lynch is going to be back. I don't think she ever knows. What makes you think? A lot of people, hold on, you don't see a lot of women going off, especially women wrestlers, going off to be a mother and then coming right back and be like, all right, I'm back. A lot of times time off for their kids.
The precedent was set with Dawn Marie. I'll say that.
What was that?
The precedent was set with Dawn Marie.
Did she have a kid and then come right back?
No, she was pregnant, and she was released while she was pregnant because during maternity leave.
She's not getting released, man.
What? Oh, I'm not. Well, yeah, of course. It's just like there's just, But then you hear stories like that, and that you would think that would just be
AEW.
kind of a way to. That would just be a way for the women performers to be a little bit gun shy and like. What do I know?
Well, I mean, you talk about people being gun shy. I mean, like you said, Sami Zayn being stripped of the Intercontinental title, but.
So yeah, what happened? He got stripped of the Intercontinental title, and then
real quick, we'll get into that. Sami Zayn. Months I would say 9 weeks ago, when the shelter-in-place order started, WWE told their talent, "Hey, if you don't want to come in, it's fine. Don't come in."
Sami Zayn says, "Okay."
He said,
"I don't want to be a slave to the system." So, all right.
Well, I think Sami could have also been like, "I don't want to catch coronavirus. I don't want to spread coronavirus. So
smart man.
I'm going to be smart about this and stay home." I don't know if that's exactly what happened, or if he was just like, "I don't want to wrestle for a couple months like it."
He's Adam Paging this out, but then
they said, your push won't be reduced. Nothing will happen. No repercussions. It's fine. You probably won't get paid, but whatever. I don't know exactly how that works, but there'll probably be something like, well, we can't pay you for the days. I don't know. And I wonder if they'll tack that on to the end of his contract. That's another thing to think about. So he chose not to go in, and now all of a sudden, as of this week, WWE has announced that the title has been vacated and is now going to be held up in a tournament starting this Friday night on Friday Night SmackDown. So all this stuff about no repercussions is a complete bull hop.
Listen, man, like Sami Zayn is going to want to do what he wants to do. I'll say there would be more of an issue if this was like, if he held, let's say, the world title,
right?
The main title, but this is the Intercontinental Championship.
Well,
there's kind of just no love lost behind it.
You tell that to Pat Patterson. You tell that to Don Morocco. You tell that to Goldust.
Are you done?
I mean, I could bring on some more.
But then it's just, it's it's just more, it's a prop to like these people, and I just don't think, like, do you think you think it's in Sami Zayn's best interest to risk his health for a potential run with the Intercontinental Championship? And I think it's just beneficial for both sides, really, because they they just want to entice viewers in some sort of, like story, like a tournament storyline for SmackDown, just to really.
I get that. But strip him of the title when he says he's not coming in.
Listen, dude, he's a prominent play. He had a fairly prominent place within that SmackDown roster, and I have no doubt in my mind he'll be back in the title picture the second that he does actually come back. It's really, look, he can't come in. He's the championship. They want a champion, so they got to do what they got to do. Listen, it'd be a lot bigger deal if this was a world title, but this is the Intercontinental Championship. They can just do this. I kind of don't see the big deal in all.
Yeah, they do hold more prestige to the 24/7 title than they do the Intercontinental title as of late.
What's that?
Tom Brady holds it or something like that. I don't know. Let's get into our next piece of news. It was reported this week that Sting, that's right,
Sting?
The wrestler, not the musician. Calm down. We got into this earlier.
Don't stand so close to me.
That's a song.
Yeah.
And he is no longer under contract with WWE. Neither of them. Neither Sting is under contract with WWE as of this point. So that's what they have in common.
Yeah.
Sting the wrestler.
Yeah.
Okay. Sting the wrestler. Let me see. What were we going to say?
Are you going to do like a biography of Sting? Like Steve Borden was in WCW.
No, Pro Wrestling Sheet reported Tuesday that Sting, like I said, no longer under contract. That doesn't mean the two sides can't work out a possible merchandising deal in the future. Speculation regarding Sting's status with WWE was first brought up to the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, reported that the Sting figure set for Mattel's Legend Series 7 line was removed. Mattel sent a statement to the podcast saying, due to circumstances out of our control, Sting needed to be removed from the Legend 7 series.
He needed to. We need to wipe him out.
We'll look forward to the figure in a future wave if he becomes available to us again. I think that sounds like, he was bold, and I don't know if they do something about it. I mean, WWE's crazy, so.
There's only two logical ways he can go about. He could either be out of a contract with WWE and do this whole shtick of him coming back to TNT, his original home in wrestling in AEW. He's going to be Darby Allin's manager, or they're just going to throw way more money at him for him to not refuse. They're going to give him an offer he can't refuse. You
can't honestly rule out Impact. He was at Impact for such a long time. I mean, Sting was there.
Sure,
that is kind of the second home for him. WWE, like you said, could offer him another contract. AEW, but what's Sting going to do at this point of his career?
Well, first of all, I was only joking about the Darby Allin thing. I don't think that dude needs a manager at all. If anybody,
I want to be his manager, all right? Hey, I can show you a thing or two.
That's not how Sting. Oh wait, that's Taz.
That's Taz. What you doing? No, that's on.
So I think he'd be a great figurehead. He'd be like a good ambassador for AEW, the same way like they treat like Jake the Snake and Arn Anderson, not necessarily in a manager, not necessarily in a manager role, but more of a like, hey, look at me, you guys. Like I could see him more like a DDP. He'll just come out in shades and present like he won't present the TNT championship.
Okay,
somebody else, but then like,
hear me out. How about a new member to the Jurassic Express. Stingosaurus Rex. No,
Whatever. He'll make it work.
I think that could be the next evolution of Sting is turn him into a dinosaur.
He'll be Sean Spears' next partner. No, he's not. Don't.
The perfect 10. Sting.
I mean, he'll just come back as Surfer Sting. You know,
he bleaches his hair, man. I'm all for it. And flat tops. Yeah.
Well,
so Sting.
There's not much we don't know about it. Like again, they could just pull an Edge and just give him a truckload of money because WWE can do that. Or maybe they're not in a position. Yeah, they'll release a good amount of their workforce, but they'll send a truckload of money to Sting just to stick it to AEW.
What news you got on that end, Michael, today for us?
New Japan. New Japan Pro Wrestling, as you say all the time, that I am an expert in all.
You are the New Japan Pro Wrestling expert here at City Wrestling Radio.
That I can attest. So President's Harold May, he released a video. Yes, of the Mayflower. He released a video statement regarding the state of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and
major flex too with all those trophies behind him.
Oh yeah, just saying look at me, I'm hot shit. He more or less presented. I'm just gonna read this off Post Wrestling. John Pollock. He issued a report here because I didn't watch the video myself because I had better stuff to do. He presented a roadmap for live events returning. He said it has been painful to cancel the shows and postpone the Wrestle Dynasty event that was set for Madison Square Garden in August. And he outlined the reasons for canceling the show and not holding empty arena shows now. He said to protect the health and safety of our wrestlers and staff, he said safety is not guaranteed and high rates of infection in Tokyo means staging empty shows presents an unnecessary risk. Our ability to use venues, they don't own or operate their own venues. They don't have a performance center. Like, I don't know if you can do anything to the New Japan Dojo.
I think that's pretty much mostly what's going on here is they don't have a place to do a show.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And this is probably the most interesting part. He says, New Japan Pro Wrestling's corporate social responsibility. They have to operate at the highest ethical standards and strongly advised to show the highest restraint with empty arena shows reflecting badly on them. Highest ethical standards are words I do not associate with a wrestling promotion. This is really kind of just a gimme, like a PR gimme for New Japan saying, look, everybody's holding these empty arena shows. Look at us. We're being the most socially responsible. And I'm not like calling him out for like potential virtue signaling. I definitely agree with everything they're doing here, especially considering the fact that, hey, New Japan Pro Wrestling is a very, very rough style of wrestling. And good Lord, who knows how much it affects the overall healing process for somebody like a Kazuchika Okada or a Tomohiro Ishii, or, and all that stuff.
Or a Toriano.
Yeah, the hardest of workers. And he really is. That's not a slight. Just reiterating more on this article, he added that the positives have included performers having the chance to rest and heal, as I noted earlier. Mage noted that subscriptions for New Japan World have not fallen significantly, with online sales of merchandise have been extremely positive. And then he said the first step to return to live events is empty arena shows and will only happen when the state of emergency restrictions are lifted, the number of new cases declines, and when matches can take place in a properly disinfected and safe settings. Matches would take place in Japan and the LA Dojo in the US. Carl Fredericks, get back to work. And he also says the next step is bringing fans back and will occur when wrestlers and staff are tested. Fans are subject to temperature checks. Masks will be mandatory and arenas will be thoroughly disinfected and ventilated, noting the elimination of smoking areas, along with space between seats to meet social distancing standards with half capacity shows at first. So we're going as soon as you buy tickets for a New Japan show, it's just going to be like a checkerboard where you have to choose all those seats, and that those are not unsold seats. I mean, those are unsold seats. Those aren't taken seats either.
Well, if you do that in America, people are just going to put their food in the seats between them.
I mean, I don't even think they'll even serve food at that point. It would just be a safety hazard altogether.
Yeah.
Eat before the show, man.
What are you going to drink? You need to drink alcohol during
Look,
a show.
I love the Cow Palace, but those nachos are fucking disgusting.
I'm not talking about the Cow Palace. Let's talk about Oracle or wherever we went. Chase Center. That was a good one.
Chase Center food was not great. Even though like that was the first event, like one of the first events they ever held, Chase Center food was not good.
Nonetheless, New Japan Pro Wrestling is they said they're going to be
socially responsible. They want to be back.
And the first thing they are going to do are empty arena matches. Like, we're not doing that. We don't go that soon. But we're going to do it as soon as we can. So, well, New Japan. Well, we'll see you as soon as humanly possible. It was reported today that former WWE NXT superstar Rachel Ellering was released by the WWE. The former Rachel Evers announced her comeback with a video posted to Twitter Wednesday night as she was part of the recent WWE NXT releases confirmed by Dave Meltzer.
On a Wednesday, huh?
Returning to her real name of Rachel Ellering. The video is actually kind of cool because it starts with her looking up the name Rachel Evers, and it says can't find anything, does not find any research results, and then it's all these videos of her jobbing out to people in the industry in WWE, and then all of a sudden she looks up Rachel Ellering, and it pops up all these cool videos of her kicking ass and taking names and winning matches. So,
she was a part of that Fatal 4-Way in the All In show.
Yeah,
was she? Yeah, she was.
I believe so. Yeah. So so we'll see what happens with Rachel Ellering. It's cool to see her using her last name again. I always thought it was weird that they didn't let her use her last name. I mean,
same reason why Adonis Creed only wanted to go by Adonis Johnson or whatever his name is, not Creed. He wants to separate themselves from the shadow of the great Paul Ellering, which we will get into. I mean, there are other reasons why they wanted to separate that name.
Dude, you see that match on Money in the Bank? She was gassed.
Dude, like Money in the Bank, like I'll say this, like that was going head to head with The Last Dance. I knew where my priorities were.
Last Dance. Last chance for love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, keep going.
No, let's not keep going. But let's keep going with some more news because we got more news to get into. A couple more things. On Twitter, I guess a couple days ago,
where all news comes from.
This last week, former WWE superstar Lio Rush has been selling off some of his old ring gear, advertising them through his Twitter account. One piece of gear stuck out more than others, though. Leo reveals a mask he pitched to Triple H for his NXT character. Watch out, Joaquin Wilde. There's a new bug in town. I wrote that line. You like that? He says on Twitter, once upon a time, I had a vision of wearing a mask, but Triple H said no, LOL. This is just the prototype. Anyways, it's now for sale. Email me. contactmusicbyleo@gmail.com for details. I mean, I don't know if the mask is sold. So, guys, if you want, hit him up. What do you can see this mask right now on the screen. What do you think of the mask?
Is it over my face, Corey?
No, it's not over your face. It's over the entire screen.
So it's a real missed opportunity there, Corey. That's definitely a Hornet.
I don't have those editing skills. I thought it was a fly.
I mean, yeah, because it's a bug. Because Lio Rush he's very fast and he's very agile. Spider-Man's cool these days. Might as well.
What wasn't the original name for Spider-Man, like Flyman?
This looks terrible. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, it's got like little things poking out each side. So it's a mask.
I don't blame Triple H.
I can't wait to see that mask starting to pop up at all the local places in the Mission that sell luchador masks, cheap luchador masks.
He kind of said that he was more or less done with the wrestling business. He wants to focus on his rap career.
He has been selling all his gear on. I noticed he's posting some other gear he's been selling too on his Twitter account. So,
I mean, props to the person who can fit in those. Not many people can.
I mean, there's some.
Children can.
Up and coming kids like. They'd be like, I'm the man of the hour. They just take that moniker. If he's not going to wrestle anymore, just take the whole gimmick. You're buying the gimmick at that point. Anyways. Shall we talk about Dark Side of the Ring?
Yeah, yeah. I did not watch it, but I know you have, and
Oh,
you have taken esteemed notes to it.
man,
I'm not very fond of the New Road Warriors. Was I'll just say before my time, you know. So I'm of the
they were when
mentality that
they were when I was a child, so I definitely remember that. I remember, having my cousin and I like watching the Road Warrior or the Legion of Doom when we were kids.
I'll say this: my knowledge of the Road Warriors begins and ends with
The Attitude Era.
the Attitude Era and that whole alcohol. Like, was it? I think it was Hawk that was the alcoholic, and
Yeah.
they faked the suicide of him like falling off the building. Like, oh,
Well,
he's
okay.
not gonna jump. He's not gonna jump, and then you hear, yeah.
Well, okay, so let's talk about this episode. Let's kind of get into it. Not, it kind of is a lot of things about the Road Warriors. They both started in Minneapolis. They met in a gym, bouncing at bars.
Just like all good wrestling stories.
They also came up with was it Barry Darso, Rick Rude, Nikita Koloff. All these guys come from I think the same town. And so it was kind of cool because a lot of them were in here. Like I said, not Rick Rude. Paul Ellering was in here, Nikita Koloff, Hawk's two brothers, Rick and Dan Hagstrand, Scott Norton, Eddie Sharkey, Godfather, and Darren Drozdoff were all in this documentary.
Oh, good.
So, like I said, they met at Jesse the Body Ventura's gym coming up. They started training with Eddie Sharkey.
I'm surprised they didn't get Jesse the Body Ventura on this.
Well, these two guys came in here and
I was the governor of Minnesota.
Then I
You
don't
were a
like the politics now.
McMahon.
I don't like the politics now. Nonetheless, like I said, they kind of were put after being separated and being brought back together in Georgia Championship Wrestling as the Road Warriors.
I got to interrupt you for a second. Can you hear that rain in the background?
No.
Okay, good. It's raining in San Francisco, folks.
Okay. God, giving up our location. No, so
yeah, it's not like our logo does that.
Yeah, no, they like I said, they kind of came up together. We're first tagging as the Road Warriors. It was funny because their first night they were handed the tag team titles in Georgia Championship Wrestling. They were said, here's the titles that they walked away. So what are we gonna tell people is tell them you won them in a tournament. It's fine. So
okay, I believe them.
Yeah.
Look at those guys. Look at those shoulders. Look at that mohawk.
I think the parts that started getting kind of towards the downfall of them is actually when they started in WWF. When
like they all do.
Yeah, after touring Japan, Hawk started drinking, using muscle relaxers together. WWE, kind of put them in through a strenuous schedule. They changed their name to the Legion of Doom, which is weird because that's what was, I heard that.
Honestly, I feel like that's a better name.
The Road Warriors stable was called the Legion of Doom, I guess, before this. So it's a name they kind of already had.
Okay. Did they go over the puppet that they found in the junkyard?
No.
That's a thing they did.
Okay. What was that? What?
Yeah, I forgot the name of the puppet, but then they would make those two guys literal scavengers, because it's because there's a whole Mad Max kind of vibe anyway.
Okay, yeah.
And so they found the puppet, and they believed that finding this, it was like a ventriloquist dummy, and I wish I had the name. Somebody listening's like, oh my God, it's this. Yeah. And they thought it would just give them more personality by, giving them a fucking ventriloquist dummy. They would ride motorcycles with said ventriloquist dummy in the front of it was in SummerSlam 92.
Well,
they were on the pre-show.
You actually brought up SummerSlam 92, which is actually what I wanted to get into.
A very key moment in a lot of people's history.
They were actually scheduled to face a Natural Disasters that day for the tag team titles.
But a cool match.
But because Hawk was on a hallucinogenic called Plecidil, Vince was trying to lay out the match to him and Animal, and that's when. Well, that's really weird.
Are you on
yeah. No, I just got a message on Instagram. Hawk was, like I said, on Placidil, and Vince trying to lay out the match to the Legion of Doom. Hawk was repeatedly interrupting Vince, and that's when Vince got so angry that he changed their match to the first match on the main show versus Money Inc. Actually, Hawk was so intoxicated that Animal was worried that he couldn't do the finisher. But despite that, they won the match and got out of there alive, which is really scary to think that he couldn't do their finisher, but he rode down to the ring on a motorcycle.
Yeah, that's what can I say?
That's crazy. Like I said, the beginning of the end started when Hawk didn't show up for a taping in Hershey, Pennsylvania. He called Vince's secretary to quit. That's when he went to Japan to form kind of the new version of the Road Warriors with Kensuke Sasaki, which he named the Power Warrior. So Animal fulfilled his dates with WWE. That's when Hawk was rushed to the hospital, I guess, multiple times in Japan for overdosing, and he crashed his truck once where he flipped it over like 6 times.
Yeah.
And then he contracted Hep C, but cured himself of Hep C.
From the car crash?
No, I think it was doing drugs.
Okay.
That's a drugs one. Which leads into the era that you were talking about, Attitude Era. Legion of Doom offered to come back in 97. That's when
capitalize on this.
That's when Darren Drozdov was added to the team as a third member to make them a trio because, hey, Vince liked stables at the time. WWE created a storyline that depicted Hawk as a drunk in-ring performer, leading to Droz and Animal pushing him out of the Legion of Doom. The angle bothered both Animal as well as fans. There was the moment, like you said, where Hawk, after he was kicked out of the Legion of Doom, climbed up to the top of the Titantron. He didn't jump, though. What happened was the storyline was that Droz climbed up there after him and supposedly pushed him off. So like he was threatening to jump at first, but then Droz pushed him off, quote unquote. Hawk then suffered from cardiomyopathy in Australia.
That's a heart attack.
That's okay. Hawk became born again, baptized at Nikita Koloff's church in Phoenix. Hawk started to live a straight and narrow, thrived on his new life with his new wife, but then passed away after he moved into his new place, like literally moving furniture. He went to bed. He said wasn't feeling good. He went to bed, died of a heart attack of heart failure at age 46, October 19th, 2003. Ellering, I guess, Paul Ellering, who was one of the prominent figures in this episode, drove to Hawk's funeral.
I would hope so.
Yeah, drove to Hawk's funeral in Tampa in their black van that I guess they toured the country with before. I guess he had the van they toured with, and it had some rust stains, so he got some spray paint and covered it up and drove all the way to Tampa in the van because he wanted to do that one last time.
It was I remember it was from Tampa to somewhere really far.
And I didn't write it down, but he gave a really touching speech to the point where I was kind of moved. I was like, damn, Paul. You know what's crazy about this whole episode? Paul Ellering comes off very young.
I mean,
like he's just like, yeah, so this is what happened. And like, because on WWE, he was like frail old Paul Ellering. Remember with the AOP?
He is 66 years young.
But on this, he was, just, hey, yeah, I'm Paul Ellering and I'm going to tell a story and this is what happened. And he didn't seem like a frail old man like they depicted him in the WWE. So
proof is in the pudding, man. Sometimes it's just the way it's not how old you are, it's how you feel.
Yeah. But Dark Side of the Ring this week. Next week, I think the finale, season finale, Owen Hart.
Yeah, and this particular episode, this week's episode, I think was the second highest. It beat
every week
the Dino Bravo episode. I mean, it doesn't. But then, nothing has beat the Benoit one yet. But I have a certain feeling that this Owen Hart one will probably beat it. But at least the first part. I mean, because
is it a 2-part Owen Hart 2-part?
No. I think it's 1 part because really, I mean. There's not. I mean, you could just chronicle the entire life of Owen Hart. I think that could be a 2-parter and be really interesting. But if you want to focus on, the dark side, of this whole thing, I would. I'm excited for that episode, and I wonder. I haven't really checked. I think Martha Hart had to be involved with this, otherwise.
I believe it looked like she was in it. I mean, I saw the.
Yeah. And I wonder, I would assume Brett is being interviewed for this as well. I didn't watch the teaser. We'll see. I'm looking forward to that episode. Well, looking forward in the relative sense, You watched that, right? Like, what? I think we had this conversation before. The whole
Owen Hart. I mean, we'll talk about it again next week too. But yeah, I watched it live. I was like, what's going on?
But then it wasn't shown live. It was
No.
just more or less.
It
It was during a video vignette, right?
And it cut back, and they're showing the crowd, and I'm like, what's going on? And Jim Ross gets on the TV. He's like, hey, he's not on the TV. He's just speaking. He goes, tragic accident just happened. Owen Hart just fell in the ring. We don't want to show anything happening in the ring right now due to.
I mean, no cameras were rolling anyway. Oh, well, they probably were.
Yeah, I mean, cameras were rolling the entire time. It's a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
They probably have all that extra footage. There's probably video of him falling to his death.
I would imagine that thing would have been.
People say they've had video. I've never seen actual video of him falling, but people say.
I remember it was quite the popular LimeWire.
Yeah, it was
account bait.
It was click. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, nonetheless, next week, Owen Hart.
Dark side of the ring, it's
so dark.
It's honestly becoming one of Vice's like flagship shows.
Yeah.
And I even as like topics as esoteric as the Herb Abrams ones or the Dino Bravo ones, like they still do relatively good numbers, and I think there's a market audience for like people willing either the lapsed fan who reminded by
it's not just lapsed fans though. You got to understand, anyone's gonna watch documentaries.
Yeah, it's not just lapsed fans.
People watch
it's genuine. These are just genuine stories, genuinely fascinating stories.
It's not like everyone who watches, Tiger King is like, oh, I love tigers.
Yeah.
I mean, tigers are cool though. We'll say that. So shall we get into it, Michael? Shall we get into our weekly review of AEW Dynamite and NXT?
Oh, I was thinking we'll be right back after these. I thought we were breaking these up.
Guys, if you like what you're listening to, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe at CWR415, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Check us out each week at SoundCloud.com/City Wrestling Radio for The B Show, where me and Michael Vergara talk about NXT and AEW Dynamite. That's SoundCloud.com/City Wrestling Radio. And we're back.
That was our way of that was the break. Okay.
Yeah. Nonetheless, hey guys, welcome back. B Show, and let's talk a little AEW Dynamite. Let's talk weekly
dubs. Yes, the weekly reviews. AEW Dynamite, May 13th, 2020. We're taped, pals, in the bright and sunny Daly's place on the road to Double or Nothing. We get various shots of the wrestlers ringside, one face, one heel, all segregated like. Lance Archer, Jake the Snake appear with some dude already beat up as we enter the ring. As per usual with one Lance Archer, he has to get his daily quota of killing somebody.
Oh, absolutely.
It's part of his contract. Jake says he was asked to make an apology for last week in regards to him putting a snake on Brandy Rhodes and pretty much dry humping her, which the recap of that, when they recapped that, they kind of went out of the way to not show that. And I would just imagine, I would chalk it up as like the brass of not dignifying such footage. Let's not show it as much as possible. And they want to create this sense of buzz of, oh, you had to be there. They're not going to show it, but Jake the Snake did. It's reprehensible. Blah, blah, blah.
I honestly think this whole promo that Jake cut seemed very like he was kind of. He was kind of like stumbling over his words. I felt like not like he was talked to, but I felt like they were like, hey, that whole thing we planned last week, it didn't go that great with the audience. Maybe we should hold back on what we were going to say this week. So what should we say?
But like you could also chalk it up to like, oh, Jake the Snake, he's very unhinged. We have to cover for him and all that. And like he's just that reprehensible. That's not much of a heel. We have to hate him. And especially with this
lunatic fringe.
And especially with this promo that he cut. He says he said he was asked to make an apology for last week, and he says as soon as she kisses his ass, she'll get the apology. He calls the area no man's land and says that the woman is good for the kitchen, wiping babies' butts, and when it gets cold, warms the man if it gets cold. And he says Cody's time.
Oh, it warmed me up.
He says Cody's time is up. Then we hear a Ford Cody's time is up. His time is now. And then as Jake continues to make this promo, we hear a Ford F-150 bursting into the scene. It, like he tries to soldier on through it, he tries to soldier on through the promo, and then all of a sudden he's just like, oh, "What is that damn racket?" And as we see, we hear a Ford F-150, and Cody bursts into the scene in the most limp dick way possible. Like it's like he didn't crash enough into it. All he did was just kind of just gingerly collide into like a garbage bin.
They put a gate next to a table with like a bucket, empty bucket on top, and then he
Also,
like gingerly taps into it and gets out of the truck.
And then there's like an American Nightmare custom hood on it because it's Cody.
That's his.
That's just Cody. Yeah, Cody bursts into the scene with taped fists. Cody goes for the nuts. Smart man walks to Jake, but Archer proceeds to blindside him. Cody strangles Archer with his own braids, throws a chair at him, no sells it, kicks him all the while. All the while Jake talks shit. He's kind of like, "Get him, Lance! Get him, Lance!" Cody fights off an EBD claw. They stare down as Archer and Jake retreats. Good beatdown. I thought it was a good heat segment. Not Jake's best work on the mic. I thought it felt a little cheap with the whole woman hating thing. But yeah, I kind of expected a bit more from him. I wanted him to be a little bit more classy as you would think he would be.
I hope eventually they turn him and Lance Archer face and they find him a good woman that like Jakey, you can't talk to women like that. You need to respect women. Okay, ma'am, I'm sorry. I'll respect them. Kind of put them in place.
Yeah, they'll get to that eventually. Next segment, we get Liev Schreiber telling us how cool the tag division is. Reminds us how great the Revolution tag match was. How nice of them, considering it happened 5 years ago. They put over Best Friends as possible #1 contenders. How Nick Jackson isn't 100%. Jurassic Express being undefeated in 2020. Well, yeah, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Jurassic, and that leads us to our next match: Jurassic Express, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy with Marco Stunt versus Best Friends Trent and Chuck Taylor with Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy, newly announced entrant in the #1 contenders ladders match at Double or Nothing. He's also wearing a face mask, so good for you. Tony says
it was like a denim face mask, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah.
Tony says Jungle Boy is 22 years old. JR says the shirt he's wearing right now is 22 years old. I thought that was a really funny line. Match puts over Jungle Boy ahead of this.
JR's loving that single life right now. I haven't changed my shirt in a couple. I'm loving it, baby.
You read that book of his where he goes over the passing of his wife, and you could tell a lot of love lost on that one.
Oh, of course. Come on.
Yeah. They put over Jungle Boy ahead of his match against MJF at Double or Nothing. Stares down Chucky T after outpacing him. Trent gets overpowered by Luchasaurus. Tosses him around. Marco is just hanging out with Orange Cassidy, all friendly-like. Tranquilo pose and all. Jungle Boy drop kicks Trent, who's hanging off of Chuck. Luchasaurus interrupts a tope, which Excalibur calls it the Tope Interruptus. I really like that line. Best Friends double suplex Lucha and gives the people what they want, but Jungle Boy suicide dives to the both of them as we get to the commercial break. Everyone gets their shit in. Then Orange Cassidy. Oh, Orange Cassidy. He stares down Trent at the ramp, and little does he know, his fucking face gets caved in by Phoenix's foot out of nowhere across the screen. It's funny because
the other day I was thinking, where the fuck are Penta and Phoenix? Can they not come?
Phoenix was in Dark on Tuesday this week, so
okay,
he's there. I'm not sure about Penta. Probably is, but yeah, another gifable moment in the Dynamite. If you haven't seen, if there's one thing you need to look out for Dynamite, it's Phoenix has kicked Orange Cassidy. It's all over Twitter. You've probably seen it. Everybody who's listening to this. MJF attacks. Oh wait, hold on. Yeah, everyone gets a shit in. Orange Cassidy gets kicked by Phoenix, as I mentioned earlier, and then MJF attacks Jungle Boy, and then sets him up for the Awful Waffle for the pin and win. Post match, Wardlow beats up Marco Stunt as Luchasaurus stares him down as well. So pretty much nobody wins.
They set up a lot of angles here.
Yeah, but the W does go to Best Friends, and
bound to the Best Friends.
And that also means they're getting their #1 contenders match against Private Party at the Buy-In, which leaves me one question: what the fuck did Private Party do to earn a #1 contenders match?
Aren't they like number 5? I think I posted it on Instagram today. Private Party like number 5 in the rankings.
Yeah, I guess that grants you a #1 contenders match.
They're number 5 in the rankings, so it's number 5 versus number 1, which Okay, what about Evil? I guess you'd still have Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. The Bucks are still too, and Jurassic Express comes before, like in the ring.
Just go through the tag. If you're going through the tag team division rankings, I got to play some smooth music as you gotta. Hey everybody, I'm Excalibur here. We're going over tag division. They don't do that anymore. They really they did that 1 week and they just stopped, and I was kind of bummed out about it.
That's why you made fun of them, and they were like, "We'll stop."
I'm not making fun of them. I think it's cool.
We're self-conscious
now.
Rico.
Anyway, yeah.
Anyways,
Jim Ross talks to Tony. Jim Ross talks to Tony Schiavone, and this went over my head, but Jon Moxley is the champion, but his belt is stolen by Brody Lee.
Yeah, I didn't see that happen last week.
We just weren't paying attention. Oh. Alex Marvez tries to interview Moxley, but stares at the camera and shoves it away. Thanks, Alex. Fatal 4-way match with heavy title implications for the AEW Women's World Championship, which means it's pretty much a number one contenders match. Chris Statlander versus Penelope Ford versus Hikaru Shida versus Britt Baker. Ford tries to touch fingertips with Stat, but cheap shots her. All four women are just brawling. Sheeta and Stat do a double backbreaker on Britt Baker. Say that 1,000 times. Baker goes for the lockjaw early, but Sheeta avoids it. Stat grabs Baker's nose, in which JR calls it the Greco-Roman Japanese nostril lock. Thanks, Jim.
That's a very technical name for a technical move.
Sheeta is selling her shoulder after breaking a pin. Crowd is constantly making noise, ah!
Yeah, what was it? There's like another subsection of fans that just seemed like, was it just the production people or like the hair?
Probably.
And they catering people. They're just like, hey, go out there, everyone's
like you've seen IDTV how that works. So we just try to grab as many people as we can.
To me, it seemed like if a kid was like, I want to have my own wrestling show for my birthday, and you like,
it's
okay,
free.
Go to the arena,
and
like there's nobody else. Yeah, if you paid for it, I'd be a rich kid. So probably
at this point,
Nikon's birthday, isn't it?
At this point, Statlander is just tossing everyone around. Sheeta knee strikes Stat as all the women are down as we cut to commercial. Everyone tries to pin everyone. Canadian Destroyer from Baker to Stat. Handspring to the cutter from Ford. Everyone just gets their shit in again. Just move after move after move. Corkscrew neck breaker from Baker. Sheeta suplex sandwich from Ford to Stat. Missile drop kick from Ford to Sheeta. Sheeta is grabbed by Keep Sabian as Ford runs into her, but Sheeta dodges, and thus leading Sabian and Ford to make out. As you gotta get your spots while you can, honestly. Poison Rana from Ford. Statlander runs into a ring post. Sheeta backbreakers Ford. Baker lockjaws Stat with a latex glove on the outside and doesn't let go, leading to Sheeta to do the knee strike to Ford for the pin and win. And just like that, Hikaru Shida is pretty much your AEW Women's World Championship #1 contender. As the bell rings, you see Baker continuing to put the lockjaw on Stat to set up their match at Double or Nothing as well. So it's granting my wish and thinking there should be more than one feud in the women's division of AEW.
I did love there was a funny moment though when, like you said, Britt Baker did hit the Canadian Destroyer, and then she's like, seems like she's trying to. They cut to a different camera, so it doesn't seem so obvious, but she's just like standing there for a second when she can obviously cover.
This episode was taped. They could easily edit around that. Yeah. We get a Shug D video promo saying how Jericho calling him Pineapple Pete. Oh, wait. Before I do that, what'd you think of the match?
Decent match.
Yeah. There was a bit of sloppiness, but I think overall it was structured well. I think all the moves that all the women hit were very technically sound. The right person won in Hikaru Shida. It
should have been Penelope Ford's night, man. She should be going after that women's title. But did you not? Was it after the match though? Nyla Rose attacking.
That was well into the show.
Was that later?
Yeah, it was way later.
Okay, sorry.
So we'll get there.
But
yeah, a pretty good match, and I just wish, like, with this whole Baker Statlander program forming, I hope that continues. I hope there's more to this women's division than just everybody chasing after a title.
Yeah.
We get a Shug D video promo saying how Jericho calling him Pineapple Pete elevated his career. There's a bit of they didn't play it, but then there's a better video of him talking about his independent wrestling stint that AEW social media posted. I think it was in the Road to Double or Nothing where he pretty much went over how independent wrestling, like everybody who's who's working in independent wrestling, they do it for the actual love of the sport and like as an actual passion project of theirs, not for the money.
Yeah.
And saying how it's Jericho pretty much just made his career because of it. I thought this was more comedic, but I can understand why they played it because it was shorter. We got to keep up with the time, I guess.
Yeah.
During the break, it's confirmed Hikaru Shida versus Nyla Rose for the women's title at Double or Nothing, as I said earlier. And that leads us to our next match. Proud and Powerful, Santana and Ortiz versus Matt Hardy and Kenny Omega. Excuse me. Kenny Omega is unable to make his entrance because Proud and Powerful instantly just beat him down. He just denied the entrance. I wanted to hear that music. Santana and Ortiz says, fuck you.
Well, you can. It's on Spotify. Go listen to it.
No, I listen to it all the time. Hardy gets his dramatic entrance. He's his 3,000-year-old vessel Damascus this time. He beats down Santana as the pyro comes off, which I thought was great. Matt throws Santana out of the ring. And for the first time, we see Santana's hair. And it's a real quarantine look. He really grew it out. You could tell no barbers in sight. Ortiz back rakes Omega. He actually does this a number of times. And then he does this whole tiger style.
Oh, yeah.
Double Katara Crusher on both Proud and Powerful members. Poetry in motion to Santana. Double suplex to Ortiz. Side effect followed by a wonderful leg drop from Matt. They build heat on Omega. Matt Hardy just howling in frustration. And then Omega does a Snapdragon suplex to Santana, I think, which JR name drops Hiroshi Tanahashi, which I thought was interesting. Hot tag to Hardy. Hot tag Tanahashi. Omega Pescado Santana and sets him up for the twist of fate. Ortiz breaks the pin, rolling cutter to Omega, followed by a shotgun dropkick and then a diving senton. At this point, I thought this match was getting pretty long in the tooth. Omega dodges an electric street sweeper, tags Hardy, who puts Ortiz into butterfly submission, and then Sammy Guevara. He enters. He just hobbles with a neck brace on with a chair and stares at Matt, who gives him a twist of fate and in classic Sammy fashion because he just wants to get in his one gifable moment of the week. He just lands straight on his head after taking the neck breaker. And it's Sammy Guevara, man. He is, God bless him. V triggered Ortiz and sets him up for something I missed, but he gets the pin and the win. I thought Matt still got it. He looked really good in this match, and I thought this match, it was dragging a little bit, but overall I thought it was pretty good. What do you think?
It was a tag match. They looked good. I mean, I don't know. There wasn't. I don't think there's.
You don't really have much of an opinion on it, huh?
I mean, it was good. Yeah.
Okay. Taz, next segment. Taz interviews Darby Allin. He apologizes to Darby for reminding
Darby, I'm sorry about last week. I didn't assume you knew wrestling moves.
So the way Taz frames this interview, he apologizes to Darby Allin. He apologizes for reminding Darby Allin of his shortcomings by reminding Darby of his shortcomings. It's I'm sorry you stuck. I'm sorry, Darby, that you didn't pivot. You didn't this is how it went. It was I'm sorry you didn't pivot when you should have, and that leads you to eat that pin. Again, I'm sorry that happened, and I'm sorry that I reminded you that you didn't pivot when you pinned. Yeah. So Darby responds to telling Taz that he doesn't get it, and reminds him that he placed third in wrestling in Ohio State Wrestling. So that establishes his amateur wrestling background.
Is that where he met Kentucky?
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's in Ohio. It's not Kentucky. Come on. Darby leaves in frustration. So would I. I would too, man. So would I. We get the ladder match rules. Pretty much every 90 seconds, someone enters the fray. The advantage goes to the first two people.
How many people are in this ladder match? Do we know?
So they announced 5, and they said 9 more spots are going to be filled in. So there's going to be a lot of people. Wow. This ladder match is going to be incredible, dude.
Wow.
Because so far we got
Money in the Bank.
So I might as well just
Ray Phoenix, Cole Cabana, Orange Cassidy. I'm missing the last 2.
I'm gonna Dave Meltzer this and try to look it up for an extended period of time.
Well, this is great. Great
here. I'm just gonna right here. It's not on the listing on the Wikipedia article.
Here it is. Ray Phoenix, Darby Allin, Colt Cabana, Orange Cassidy, and TBA.
Okay, TBA. My money's on TBA.
I love TBA. It's in a lot of matches, actually. I always gets announced for a match.
Oh, no!
Never actually performs. TBA.
It's like a... You okay there?
I need to figure this out eventually.
Okay, where am I? Okay, Lexi Nair interviews Sheeta. This is the segment that you were asking for. Sheeta says she will beat Nyla, and then Nyla Rose interrupts and congratulates her by hitting her head with a kendo stick. And then she says, "Found your kendo stick, bitch!"
I fucking love that.
She went
Found your kendo stick, bitch!
She went straight to Sheeta's head too.
All right,
man, this is AEW, man. We don't have to abide by any shot rules.
No. Anyways,
go on to our next match. MJF with Wardlow versus Lee Johnson. During the match, Tony announces Britt Baker versus Chris Statlander and Private Party versus Best Friends at the buy-in, as I said before. MJF just heels all over Johnson. Lee chops MJF, in which he responds with a slap to the face. Powerbomb on the apron and rope to Lee. MJF jaw jacks to the face side of the audience. They put over MJF being technically undefeated, having never been pinned. The one match that he technically lost was in some fatal four-way, which he didn't get pinned. Shoulder breaker and Fujiwara armbar to Johnson for the win. It's another notch on MJF's badge. They're really building him up. I don't see much sense in him losing to Jungle Boy because he's fighting him at Double or Nothing. It's a shame because I think Jungle Boy has a lot of upswing to him.
But he's tag team division, man. Jungle Boy right now isn't him losing as a singles competitor is fine.
A post-match promo call, MJF calls out Jungle Boy, says that he's excited to fight him at Double or Nothing. Says he says he's got ring rust and asks Lee if he's stiff, which Lee is still dead in the ring. Says Marco Stunt has an open contract for a match and that MJF signed his name on the dotted line. And he says that he's better than you, and then he whips out his pinky as Wardlow tends to it, and you know it. And they play his music out, his dope-ass theme song. Just announced for next week, we have Orange Cassidy facing Phoenix. That's going to be fucking hot. I can't believe they're giving away Phoenix versus Orange Cassidy on live TV, but what can I say? I'm looking forward to it. And then we go on to our next match, which I was really interested in going in, see how this is going to go, both ratings-wise and just booking-wise for Chris Jericho, because it's Shug D, a.k.a. Pineapple Pete, versus Chris Jericho. Weeks of irrational hatred has all led to this. Jericho is with his members of the Inner Circle as Proud and Powerful and Sammy are still selling the effects of the match with Hardy and Omega. He's also wearing the Pineapple Pete t-shirt, which... He
has a whole, Titantron, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about Jericho entering with a Pineapple Pete shirt. Doesn't look bad, too. Jericho slaps Pete. Pete swears and gets bleeped as he does a flurry of strikes on Jericho, flying elbow to the corner, but runs into a Judas effect for the pin and win 1, 2, 3. Thanks for coming, Pineapple Pete. Honestly, this was probably what it needed to be.
Yeah.
This made Jericho look like an absolute villain. This match and this post match coming after it, I think this was just a fully established Jericho as this villain, as this.
Honestly, I felt like
What do you disagree about on this?
The whole booking of the match, I felt like they were talking about ring rust earlier, and a lot of other characters talking about
Jericho wrestled last week.
Jericho didn't wrestle last week.
Yeah, he did.
Against who?
He was in the street fight.
Oh yeah. Nonetheless, I think they should make Jericho somebody who thinks like, oh, I don't need to take this guy too seriously, but because he didn't take him so seriously,
I mean, he kind of did in the first.
He could have
5
almost
seconds.
lost, and then needed the Inner Circle to help him win.
I don't know. I think they needed to make Jericho look strong because I thought this did a ton of favors to Inner Circle.
How's it make Jericho look strong? Pineapple Pete. Who's Pineapple Pete? Shug D. Okay.
I mean, no, but then of course, but then the fact that he won in such a swift and fast fashion makes Jericho all the more dangerous heading into Double or Nothing. Like, yeah, it's good to have a spotlight on Shug D and Pineapple Pete, but let's not lose sight of the bigger picture here, and that's the segment that we have post-match, in which post-match Jericho says the threat of Pineapple Pete has been vanquished. I like that he said that.
Okay.
Questions the existence of the Elite, calls out Paige for living in the woods, eating a turtle or some other stuff. And he calls out
bushwhacking in the North
woods.
Carolina hills looking for berries.
And then he calls out the Bucks, saying questions if Nick Jackson's 100%. He tells them to get their shit together. That puts our shit quota for this week. Calls for a stadium stampede match, pretty much a match in a football stadium against the Elite. And then after that, Vanguard 1 appears with an Inner Circle shirt, and it's just the smallest, tiniest Inner Circle.
Yeah, it's the one they had
it's like
ago.
It's like a baby size. It asks if the Elite are down to face Inner Circle. According to Jericho, V1 says yes. Then Jericho rescinds the Inner Circle invitation and introduces V1 to Floyd the Bat. And you see this, he was holding the bat as he was cutting this promo, and I just you knew that he was going to do this to this drone. But yeah. I like how he kind of trails off a little bit, kind of just delays the inevitable. But alas, he eventually proceeds to bludgeon the drone to a million little pieces. And the funny part is they taunt all over this just shattered plastic thing. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, Hardy comes out, he's all
and then Matt slowly walks in sadness as the Inner Circle retreats. If I was the Inner Circle, maybe because they were just too wounded from the prior match, but they all just I would imagine they would have all just beaten up Matt Hardy at that point.
This is Damascus, man.
He is Damascus. This segment was utterly ridiculous in all the right ways possible. You see, 2020, you see on national television, you see Jericho bludgeon a drone with a baseball bat. What more can you ask for, honestly? But yeah, a stadium stampede match. To me, I think it's pretty much going to be the Inner Circle versus the Elite. That street fight, but on steroids. And I'm looking forward to what they do there.
Fighting all around the football. It's going to be 5 separate fights, breaking up, different camera cuts, back and forth.
They're going to climb on. They're going to climb the field goal post, and then the Bucks are going to do a Meltzer driver off of that.
Yeah, probably something like that.
So yeah, stadium stampede match. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be looking forward to it. We get a stipulation of the women's title match, no disqualification. Marco Stunt, this is pretty much a rundown of next week's Dynamite. Marco Stunt versus MJF, Arn Anderson. I wrote down Arn Anderson versus Jake the Snake. They're not going to wrestle.
Pretty much,
it's a verbal confrontation.
They're going to tussle. They're going to push each other a little bit. They're going to get in each other's faces.
They're going to hit each other's canes. Orange Cassidy versus Phoenix, and then Moxley versus 10 of the Dark Order. Sammy Guevara versus Matt Hardy, and at this point they announce fucking Iron Mike Tyson is presenting the TNT Championship at Double or Nothing.
Hey, here you go. Here you go, Lance Archer. Here's your title.
Hey, Cody. We're gonna see here the TNT Championship. So yeah, Iron Mike. That's quite a get for AEW. Whether or not it's a question of Mike Tyson's relevancy in 2020, I would say he's still a very relevant name today.
He also likes tigers. He has tigers of his own too.
Yep. And so he all over Twitter, he was hinting at a possible comeback. He was going to do a 3-round charity boxing event.
I'll do it with David Arquette. I'll knock his ass out. I'll knock his teeth down his fucking throat.
Yep.
That's probably what he would say. I don't know.
Yeah. And I the way it's tacked on, you would imagine that this was they just somehow got it today. Because it was very much, it seemed like a very added on sort of announcement.
Oh my God. Like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Just exactly like that. That's exactly how Tony Khan sounds every time he gets what he wants. All right, main event time. Christopher Daniels with Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky versus Brody Lee with his Dark Order goons. Remember when we were supposed to be getting the Scorpio Sky video vignettes?
Yeah, that stopped.
Yeah. Brody Lee enters with the title belt, corrects Dasha, and makes her say self-proclaimed AEW champion. Christopher Daniels, main eventing a nationally televised wrestling show on TNT in the year 2020 in the middle of a pandemic.
Good for him.
Go figure. Brody Jawjacks SCU is Daniels topes and does an Arabian moonsault on the outside. I'm amazed that he can still do that. Big boot to Daniels, all the heat on him as Brody just dominates him. Hope spots from Daniels, Frankensteiner to Brody. 10 interferes but is beaten up by Kaz and Sky. Referee Bryce Remsburg is outside as Daniel throws a chair at Brody. All Dark Order goons brawl against Kaz, Sky, and now Colt Cabana. Remsburg continues the match as Daniels and Lee aren't touched. Angels wings from Daniels, kicks out at 1. Best moonsault ever, the BME. For short, kicks out at 2. Brody counters a diving nothing into a powerbomb to Daniels. Discus lariat to Daniels for the pin and win. You know, going into this match, I wasn't really looking forward to it, but I was sort of reminded how good Christopher Daniels is considering his age. I thought it was an okay match.
Yeah, I mean, it was a decent match. I'm not a huge Brody Lee. I don't like Brody Lee.
You're not sold on Brody Lee.
No.
You think
same guy, same wrestler he was when he was in WWE. I don't see anything different.
I mean,
except for his character.
But I mean, like, I think his. I mean, I'm a fan of his style. I like, you know, the way he wrestles. I think him being a brawler type is gonna gel well with Jon Moxley. He hasn't been exactly lights out, but like I feel like he only really needs to be at Double or Nothing. I think that he's really just kind of hitting it where it counts. Yeah. You know, I think his stint with WWE sort of ingratiates him into really reserving his bullets in the chamber. You know, like this is going to be a match with Christopher Daniels. This isn't pay-per-view. I'm going to work a certain level of style that, well, I'll still try to captivate the audience.
He's not going to change his style because of Jon Moxley.
I mean, not necessarily changing style, just like really upping the ante in regards to what he's doing. You know,
why not give that every time you wrestle though? That's just
because but then, like I said, that's kind of what his stint of WWE. That's what his stint in WWE kind of just taught him, like working smarter, not exactly doing stuff that you probably shouldn't be doing every week, considering that he's almost wrestling every week. And that's
see if it worked out for him. I mean, we'll see how it works for him and his character in his black and gold cane suit. But
there's stuff going around where like there's kind of a sentiment that I'm sort of feeling that this is probably not main eventing the pay-per-view. Like it's either going to be the TNT Championship. It's either going to be the TNT Championship or the Stadium Stampede match.
Stadium Stampede. Stampede it.
But yeah. So post-match, he points to Dasha to remind her to call him the self-proclaimed AEW champion, Mr. Brody Lee. Dark Order and 10 present the title to Lee, and then Moxley marches to the ring and beats down each goon one by one. I thought this looked pretty cool. Excuse me. Lee just throws his followers at Moxley to walk him into a paradigm shift. Lee and 10 leaves with the belt. Moxley gets a mic. He admires guts and seizing the opportunity, but he doesn't tolerate disrespect. Says Lee made a foolish decision, and that he will pay for it with interest. Says the championship is worth more than a piece of metal, and that there will be a hailstorm of violence, and that when the dust settles, Mr. Lee's AEW career will be over before it started. As we get the hard sell for Double or Nothing, and Moxley's music plays us out. And that was Dynamite. That of May 13th, 2020. Overall, pretty good episode.
They're feeding Brody Lee too early to fucking Jon Moxley, man.
I mean, again, like, how far do you really want?
No. Huh? Can you give him the title? No. Then why put him in this role right off the bat?
To me, you kind of come off as somebody who's just not sold on the feud itself.
Well, yeah.
I always kind of had tempered expectations with how much you can really use Brody Lee, and to me, they kind of just see him as like an upper level, but like he does have, like, they kind of see him as having a ceiling, and for him to be this villain of the month, like villain of the month for Moxley to win, you know. And I don't think
if he's villain of the month, then why make him such a big deal? Why put him
because they want him, because they want people to care about this villain of the month. You know, they can't just do nothing. They can't just present him like, here, Brody Lee. Like, they got to establish him as this villain and as somebody, you know, for people to care about the Double or Nothing pay-per-view, $49.99 US. And I think Brody Lee is I think he's kind of good for that role.
We'll see.
Do you want more out of him?
Yeah. I don't want him in this role right now, right off the bat, right? Coming into AEW.
Like, you can definitely make an argument of him being there being in the title picture too early.
Yeah, that's he's in it too early.
Would you rather have him swap places with Lance Archer?
No, I because they're both just coming in. I mean,
I see a lot more upswing in Lance Archer.
I would rather see a Lance Archer, Dean Amber, or Lance Archer, John Moxley match for sure.
That's what I'm asking.
I mean, yeah, I'd rather see that match for sure. But I think Brody Lee just being plopped into this, like, he's just going to lose. It's going to make him look weak. It's going to make the Dark Order look weak. Why? You know, might as well just reset everyone in that Dark Order then.
I mean, you could still have the Dark Order, but like Brody Lee would just not have the championship. Like, I think honestly, I feel he can take the loss because I see Dark Order like as at a certain level.
All anyway, I know is
from the get-go,
they don't take care of their people because Evil Uno posted on Twitter says he needs a gaming chair. Mr. Lee, get him a gaming chair.
I mean, he doesn't even let his people eat until after he eats. What makes you think he's going to get him a gaming chair?
Well, he's Evil Uno. He's Evil One.
8 does not discriminate for
AEW Dynamite.
As of this week, are you sold on Double or Nothing? Are you willing to drop $50 for this empty arena pay-per-view?
Not willing. Well, if I had just a bunch of money, I mean, sure I would, but no, not willing at this point. I mean, I'll watch it.
Okay, you're gonna watch it, but you're gonna say no.
I mean, I'm gonna say no. I'm not sold on buying it right now. Is what I'm saying. Will I buy it?
Next week. Next week should definitely be a hotter show than this one, considering it's taped and considering it's a bit of a more controlled, tempered environment. I feel like you can tell when shows are taped, and considering because there was no picture-in-picture on this one. Yeah. But I would imagine the hard sell for next week would tip me over the edge because I'm not exactly sold on Double or Nothing. But the more I look at this card, the more I think, like, damn, like they're really gonna do something special with this one. That ladder match, that's the one that's actually kind of single-handedly selling on this pay-per-view.
Yeah. And we'll definitely talk about that more coming up next week too. So before Double.
Yeah, next week should be a friggin' banger.
Let's move into our weekly NXT review. You know, I got you on lock with that. I feel like fucking what's his name, Conrad. Sometimes when he just mumbles and he just says random words.
Yeah, like Conrad.
I just say things that NXT. NXT this week kicked off with Imperium versus Riddle and Thatcher defending their
right off the bat.
Yeah, defending their NXT tag team titles. Thatcher and Bartel start the match. Thatcher working Bartel down to the ground with an arm lock. Bartel tags out, goes after Riddle on the outside. They brawl. Thatcher seems pissed that Riddle wasn't in his corner for a tag, while Eichner gets a belly-to-back slam on Thatcher. Imperium eventually isolates Riddle in the ring. Riddle is desperately trying to make a tag and inadvertently knocks out Thatcher by monkey flipping Marcel Bartel into Timothy Thatcher, and that's when Timothy Thatcher just leaves. He's like, screw it, I'm done. That's when that prompts Matt Riddle to yell, Tim! Imperium does what any good heel team does.
Oh, they were so psyched when that happens. Like, yeah.
Fuck yeah, all right. They attempt their finisher, but they're not just fighting anyone. They're fighting one of the most athletic people on the NXT roster. He tries to fence him off for a little bit. Riddle breaks free, knees to Bartel, but Eichner breaks free of the Bro 2 sleep. Imperium takes control. European bomb to Riddle. Marcel Bartel gets the pin on Riddle, and they become the new NXT Tag Team Champions. I thought this was a pretty dumb storyline for a match.
What?
I think for the match, it was a dumb storyline. It was a very why'd you hit me? What?
I would say I thought this match, it told the story it needed to be telling, where it was just if you put, if you're putting this into a vacuum, it'd be kind of dumb for Timothy Thatcher just because he's too blind in rage But then when you put into the fact that he has to tolerate with Matt Riddle week after week with the whole Newly Bro show, and just like this was just more or less the tipping point of Timothy Thatcher just done with Matt Riddle's shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought the good back and forth between the two, between Riddle and Imperium, was good at the end. I'm never a fan of Thatcher.
What? I think he's awesome.
Great look, great wrestler. Just not a fan of mat-based wrestling matches. Like really slow.
That's just not your preference.
It's not my preference.
I disagree.
Next up, we have the NXT Superstar Facts of the Week, sponsored by Geico. Charlotte Flair became the first ever multiple WWE Raw, SmackDown, and NXT Women's Champion by defeating Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. Did you know that, Michael?
Thank you.
Corey's NXT Superstar Facts of the Week, sponsored by Corey.
He doesn't like good wrestling. No. Mat based. No, it's okay. Hello?
Sorry, I just heard something weird. Sorry. Cassius Ohno, this is my Superstar Fact of the Week. Cassius Ohno handed out free Cassius Ohno Lakers themed t-shirts to everyone outside a GCW show in Los Angeles in November of 2017.
Thanks, Cassius.
That's your Corey's NXT Superstar Facts of the Week. We go back to NXT with Mackenzie with Thatcher backstage. He says, I told Riddle, you knock him out, I'll tap him out. But no, he's got to do game shows. He's throwing his flip-flops, bro, all that stuff. I want to just be tag champs, but not with a hot mess like that.
He's tired of his bullshit.
In walks Matt Riddle. They brawl. And,
what was that all about, man?
And they brawl.
No. Yeah.
Then we moved on to, I don't know. It's just, I knew this was going to happen, but it just seemed really like this whole episode was just, it was weird how it just like happened.
That was this whole entire storyline revolved around these two. The whole entire show was revolved.
I feel like months worth of their storyline could have just happened in a night. Then we have Tegan Knox versus Indy Hartwell. Indy starts the match by yelling, "You're not impressive," because she's Australian. She has an accent. Hartwell made look actually pretty strong in this match. Apparently, one of Knox's nicknames is Lady Kane because
she would dress up as Kane for Halloween.
Okay, she does a choke
slam,
and she has red hair, I guess. Knox hits a cannonball to a flying body splash off the top ropes. Indy Hartwell, the shiniest wizard, and the pin and the win. And
she looked really annoyed post match. Was like, man, what's Indy Hartwell's deal?
She said it wasn't impressive.
And then she just got her hand raised. And like I thought they were kind of hinting at like a possible heel turn because of course that would happen. The most pure baby face out of NXT would just turn.
No, she's who are they depicting her as? Miss Universe? No, Miss Marvel, Miss Marvel. What's her name?
Captain Marvel.
There you go. Then we cut to Rhea Ripley backstage. She doesn't want Charlotte to be NXT Women's Champion. She seconds her.
Go figure.
Yeah, it was a backstage promo. Riddle on a FaceTime call with William Regal.
Thank you.
Okay, boy.
Thank you.
Mackenzie wants to know what they were talking about. Riddle informs us that he has a match with Thatcher tonight. Thatcher attacks Riddle, and again, leading to Thatcher throwing a computer monitor at Riddle.
Yeah.
Which the ref runs up and replies, that's too far.
That's too far, man. That's too far.
That's too far.
Man, talk to me.
Is it the same ref that told Seth Rollins, that's not you?
Oh, my God. Rey Mysterio, man.
Yeah. No, and like I said, like that could have happened. That could have happened like next week. Like I got a match with Thatcher tonight. I don't know. Next up, Tony Nese versus Jake Atlas. Before the match, Byron Saxton was with Jake Atlas backstage. He says, to mathematically stay alive in this tournament, you need to have a win tonight. What are your final thoughts as you head into the ring? Atlas says, Byron, it's do or die situation for me. I have to beat a former cruiserweight champion. And as the biggest Drake Maverick fan, I hope he beats Kushida and forces a tie. But I can't get caught up in thinking that. I need to think about right now.
Wait, so the thing is, if Drake Maverick wins, he's 2-1 alongside Jake Atlas, but then Jake Atlas would win that tiebreaker because if we're going by G1 rules, Jake Atlas would win that tiebreaker because Jake Atlas beat Drake Maverick. So
did he beat Kushida?
Anything.
Oh, no, he would win the tournament then.
Yeah.
That's why he's rooting for Drake Maverick. This is pretty 2018 205 live match. I mean, there's not much to get into that. Atlas does mount a comeback at the end, knocking Nice off the top rope. Atlas hits now what they're calling not the cartwheel DDT. They're calling the rainbow DDT now, which I guess is a better name for it, considering Jake Atlas has, he's openly gay, or at least he was. Can't say it, but he can hint at it, which is weird.
What can you do, man?
What?
What can you do, man?
I can bitch about it on the show is what I can do.
That's just yeah.
Not a fan of this match. Atlas is a fantastic wrestler. Yeah.
I mean, listen, I said it once and I'll say it again. The second Jake Atlas signed on the dotted line, nothing would surprise me at this point. Then
we have an undisputed Zoom
call. But he won.
Yeah, he won. So he's still alive. An undisputed Zoom call.
Hey, guys.
Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole start the match.
They said Kyle O'Reilly is on the set. He has dignitaries and A-listers. He's with Arnold and all this other stuff. They pretty much said he's all filming a movie, which, I say that all the time whenever I'm like gone for extended periods of time.
Yeah. I mean, it was them talking. Bobby Fish joins in, joined by Roddy. I think it's funny when Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole are on. They're like, "Oh, the original three," and then Roddy.
Like, we're pretty much doing the same.
Like, hey, Roddy.
Yeah, and then they said
they don't get Dexter Lumis.
I mean,
they're like, "What's up with Dexter Lumis?" I don't know.
Hey, man, not a lot of people do get Dexter Lumis. He's misunderstood.
Yeah, right. So I mean, it's funny because they're all like, somebody needs to take out Dexter Lumis. On a count of three, everyone say who you think should take him out. They all say Roddy at the same time.
And they all just laugh for 30 seconds.
And I love it. Every time someone comes on, it's like, "Hey, Bobby." Yeah. Hey, yeah.
It's just like typical dudes you find in the marina.
Yeah. After this, Karrion Kross video package with Scarlett. The end is near.
They choose the Armageddon 2003 theme song. And
the end is near. Yeah. So they're talking about Ciampa being the first victim. And I mean, they look good.
These guys, I mean, Karrion Kross, he's a guy who just tried, like God bless him, but then it's too much, dude. Like they try too hard to become like these sadistic monsters. Like, I'm so angry. Look at me.
I'm not a human being.
God, like it's
yeah.
It's just too much, honestly. Like, it's to a point where you just kind of just find it amusing. The same way I find Psycho Sid amusing, like Sid Justice, where it's like, look at this guy. What's his deal? Like, there's nothing really. Like, yeah, there is like a threatening edge to him, but it's just nothing really. Like, I don't feel intimidated when he kind of just shows his teeth and just does this all the time and all this. And yeah, that's just more or less my opinion on Karrion Kross and Killer Kross in general. And I say this as somebody who was thoroughly impressed when he was at Triple Mania that one time.
Oh, I mean, I was impressed when I saw him live that one time at West Coast Pro Wrestling. So I mean,
he's a menacing human being. It's just when he does this, when he makes this face, I can't take him seriously sometimes.
They have a video package. Next up, Mackenzie. She's backstage with Swerve. Swerve says he's not one of those guys that came into this tournament not to even get a single win. If that was him, he would just quit wrestling. Harsh words for somebody who just lost the tournament with no wins. Then we followed by DX. They're at NXT, or at least 3/5 of DX, or 3/6, or 3/7, or 3/8, whatever the fuck.
Keep going. You can try.
Fraction it is. Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Road Dogg are backstage. They don't wear DX stuff anymore, and they just wear NXT stuff. So they basically just announced the next NXT TakeOver is going to be NXT TakeOver in your house, because, hey, we're in our houses, right?
That was a really, really funny line. Which I normally don't say in regards to DX and Road Dogg, where Road Dogg appears out of nowhere, and then I think Sean or Hunter asks, "Where'd you come from?" He just says, "Down there." He just throws a bunch of glow sticks at him. I thought that was a really funny line.
So this is I like the part where they were kind of making fun of their segment on SmackDown too a few weeks ago. Shawn Michaels and
just because they can, man. Just because they can.
The whole story about this was, 25 years ago is they first In Your House, which was like May 14th, I believe. And they talk about them all having matches there, including Triple H, which he doesn't want to remember because he faced Henry Godwin in like a
bunch of shit,
a pig pen match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would try to forget about that too.
So I mean, hey, if I can win a house at this pay-per-view, I'm gonna like this pay-per-view.
I heard there was that. Do you really want to win a house? Like, what if they give you a house, but you still got to pay the mortgage?
You got to pay property tax. No, I mean, more. Why are they going to give you a house that's not paid for?
Yeah,
we put a down payment on it. Here you go.
I think that was the case. I think that's what actually happened.
No, I think what it is most of the time is it's a fully paid for house, and they usually
there was an article concerning that, like where it just became such a burden on them, so they eventually just sold it. Which, hey, that's kind of an upsell.
Here's an upsell: Finn Balor versus Cameron Grimes. It's grime time, man. This is a good match. What can I say? Getting into this match, I wasn't too looking forward to this too much, but hey,
on paper, it was they're both genuinely talented individuals. I'll say more so for Cameron Grimes. He's been sort of impressing me throughout.
More so for Cameron Grimes. Come on, come on, Prince Devitt. Come on. Grimes goes after Balor like he would any jobber, trying to hit the cave-in out of the gate, but this ain't no jobber. This is the real deal scratch and sniff Finn Balor Happy Meal. They go back and forth, brawling on the mat. Balor goes for the sling blade, but Grimes reverses into a spinning side slam. Grimes holding his own against Balor. Even at one point, he has Balor on the ground, and he yells, "I'm going to slap the piss out of you, Balor!"
And he proceeds to slap the piss out of him.
Balor fights back and hits a double stomp, running punt kick to Grimes on the outside, and then who should appear behind Finn Balor but Damian Priest? He pops out from the crowd section. Would anybody like a banana? No.
Just turn up the bass in your mixer so you can. Don't do it. But.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do it now. It'll take me too long to figure it out. Balor strikes Priest, then hits the sling blade on Grimes. Priest whips it out and hits Balor with his long.
Oh God! Oh, okay.
Hits him with his long black nightstick. Cave into Balor, and Cameron Grimes gets the pin and the win. After the match, Damian Priest hits the Reckoning on Balor on a solid steel chair. He says, "If you want the big push." No, sorry, that's bad. He goes,
Andre the Giant.
If you want the big push, then why don't you take out the Prince? I just don't know. I was gonna be like, that's cool. But I liked it. I really liked it 3 weeks ago. So, okay, bye.
That's exactly what he said.
Thanks, Damian Priest.
No problem.
So then he shoots his imaginary arrow at the screen, and his name appears, and he walks away. So I think it's funny when he says,
"It's nice to be able to do that at will."
I liked it. I liked it as much as I did 3 weeks ago. Mara was like, "Oh my God, he's the one! He's the one who attacked Balor."
Yeah. The culture of infamy, he does it again.
God damn. Isaiah Swerve Scott versus Jack Gallagher. Swerve comes out to the ring, and just like Kenny Omega, he's attacked coming down by, but not by the Proud and Powerful, but by Tony Nese. Tony Nese attacks Swerve coming down because he talked shit earlier because Tony Nese can get a single win in this tournament, and he's not going to quit wrestling.
Salty.
Swerve, he does fight off some of Jack Gallagher's attacks, gets a house call to Gallagher. Gallagher does hit a spinning forearm, though, to Swerve, pin, and the win. Swerve has been eliminated in the tournament.
Jack Gallagher he pretty much fulfills the spoiler prophecy that was originally teased by that Jake Atlas match.
Yeah. Like I said, we broke down the B block breakdown for what's going to happen. If Kushida beats Maverick, then he goes to the finals. But if Maverick wins, there's a three-way tie, Kushida, Atlas, and Drake Maverick, which I can
see that happening, honestly.
It could have a three-way match.
It's somewhat Murphy's Law at that point, where they just straight up, if it can happen, it probably will happen.
And then the A block winner is going to be the winner of Phantasma versus Akira Tozawa next week, which will probably be Phantasma, I'm guessing.
I mean, Tozawa, like, that dude is he's Mr. Wednesday night, clearly not Monday night.
I feel like they're going to do Phantasma versus Kushida, which will be a great match at NXT TakeOver in your house.
Home invasion of the WWE variety.
Caden Carter versus Aaliyah. This is enough
And-
match.
Yeah, okay, can we just move on? Yeah, Robert Stone appeared and is like, and then Aaliyah was all like, and then she gets pinned.
And then she says,
Big win for Caden Carter.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know what they're doing with this. Like, it's this whole Robert Stone brand thing. It's like, hey, let's just grab all of the least talented women in our women's roster and just put them into one stable. What could possibly
they're
go
not.
wrong?
They're not in a stable. She was never in the stable.
He's trying to recruit him like
he was
you.
scouting her.
Yeah.
Scouting.
Yeah.
Next up, we have a new edition of Keeping Up with the Garganos.
Oh my God.
I don't like these packages where they're at home.
Really?
No,
You don't?
I liked one part, and you know which part that was. But there's the whole thing of them just eating dinner, talking back and forth. Because Candice LeRae doesn't seem into these video packages at all. She's like, yeah, well, okay, great, yes, honey, I agree. It's just very monotone of her. I don't know. At least when Gargano's talking. When she's talking, she seems fully into it. But when Gargano's talking, she's just like, yeah, okay, sure, that's great, honey. They're watching highlights of Gargano's match versus Dijak. He starts to focus on Keith Lee. Then Candice LeRae starts focusing on Mia Yim. Kind of the first time they pointed out Mia Yim and Keith Lee being a couple. They didn't say they were a couple, but kind of said they hang out together, you know?
I mean, my main gripe with this segment was like the whole inner monologue, like the evil monologue of LeRae and Gargano, where it's like, yeah, no, what I'm about to do, I'm about to, and then like they just, it's one of those things where they clearly shot it 3 times of them making the monologue, but then they move their head at a different pace, so they just put the opacity overlay up on it.
Yeah, everyone knows what you're talking about.
I mean, just basic editing. 101.
Yeah.
And these evil monologues went too fucking long. Like I was looking at it for like I was just watching it for about 10 seconds. I'm like, okay, I get it, and I just like
there's one
on my phone.
There's one part though where it's funny because she goes, Candice says they had me face people like Casey Canizaro. Gargano replies, yeah, she's a ninja.
Ninja.
Candice goes, she's not a ninja. He goes, oh, well, she's a warrior. Candice goes, she's not a warrior.
American.
Goes, well, she's American. Candice goes, yeah, she's American. So that actually had me laughing for a second. And next up, we have, I was talking about next week, Kushida, Drake Maverick, Phantasma, Akira Tozawa, Rhea Ripley versus Io Shirai. Then we go to a main event time.
Man, Rhea Ripley versus Io Shirai. I'm not looking forward to that.
No.
Because I can see Rhea Ripley just winning. It's going to be like another, I can definitely see just
a fuck finish. And
they're going to set up a triple threat, clearly. Io Shirai's going to eat the pin.
Timothy Thatcher versus Matt Riddle is the main event.
Yeah.
And then Bro comes out. He's not selling his injuries at all from earlier in the night. And we have a lot of mat-based wrestling. Feels more like an MMA match than it is a pro wrestling match.
Like I said, this is a type of match that greatly benefits from a no audience show. I really liked the way this match was flowing, dude.
The two exchanged holds on the mat. Bro to sleep to Thatcher and knees up while Riddle goes for a moonsault. Riddle rolls out of the Fujiwara armbar and yells to Thatcher, "You're not my bro!" Which had me fucking cracking up. The two started rolling around again. Thatcher is pinned. And so
it's just out of nowhere technical prowess win.
It was dumb. It was dumb. What?
You didn't
It made him look stupid. He wasn't.
It's just he was
surprised. He was like, "What?"
You can get caught. He was blinded by rage.
I didn't
think it was
ring, and he's not smart in the ring.
Well, then that's just gonna put more fuel to the fire of Thatcher wanting to fight.
Be better, Thatcher.
Like he wants to run it back, as you might say. And I'm looking forward to this match because the match that they showed us this week, like the match between these two guys, I was thoroughly enjoying it. Like both these guys have really big wrestling backgrounds, and they just there's two dudes who knew what the fuck they were doing, and told a pretty good story throughout the show. You know, it showed Matt Riddle as this more serious character, knowing like him having this more, not like a more aggressive side, but as like not much comedy in his end. It's like one of the more serious storylines that he's he's in regards to his friction with Timothy Thatcher. And I thought Thatcher showed it showed that he belonged here, like in WWE. Like, and it's easy for him to do that when he's in NXT and when he's with somebody of similar stature with Matt Riddle. And I'm going as far as to say this was match of the week, both matches of Riddle and everything involving Riddle and Thatcher. I'm enjoying what they're doing.
Come on, that Aaliyah match. Whew.
I mean, you could say that as your match of the week. That's no qualms about that. You can claim that. You can claim
All
that.
right. Well, that about does it here for us. That was NXT. That was AEW Dynamite. That was the B show.
That was the greatest episode we've ever recorded. Charlie Caruso was correct.
She said it herself.
Yeah.
Guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe at CWR415, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And we'll be back next week with more B show.
Looking forward to it.
Guys, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.